Vonn Bell's been one of those guys that for the last 3 years I've thought is extremely underrated across the NFL. As a Ravens fan, it was good to see the Bengals lose both of their safeties. I mean, of course, but there's so much talent there, and those two guys, Jesse Bates and Vonn Bell, along with the DB core that they've had there, accomplished so much with the Bengals, getting to one Super Bowl, nearly getting to a second one, giving the Kansas City Chiefs offense just pure hell over the course of 2.5, 3 seasons, I guess. Um, for me personally, I respect Vonn Bell a lot. I've seen him play a lot of positions and be asked to do a lot of different things in the course of the same game. I'm going to try to present that to you here in this video. He signed with the Carolina Panthers, 3 years, I think $22.5 million. So good for him to be getting paid like that. Obviously, Jesse Bates got paid a whole lot more. But I have a affinity for Vonn Bell and the way he plays. He's so tough and committed to everything that he does. I called him an OG in the title of this video, but look, I believe he just turned 28 in December of 2022. So I think he turned 28 during this past season that culminated with the Bengals losing to the eventual Super Bowl champion Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. He's decisive. He's just very smart pre-snap and post-snap, meaning during the play. I'm going to let some film run here. Mainly going to show pass coverage, but we'll show a couple of blitzes here in the beginning, and you can see how physical he is, how committed he is, and how well he times up a lot of these blitzes. Week 1, I think, against Pittsburgh, huge hit on the quarterback. You'll get the end zone angle of this just to let you know while some of my commentary, I let some of my commentary roll. To me, he reminds me of some really good physical and NBA defenders. I always like to make basketball comparisons. He reminds me of the really good physical NBA defenders in the like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4 range. I'm going to mention a name that for me makes sense but may not make sense for you, especially if you're not as old as I am, but Joe Dumars comes to mind. Just someone who's just always there, competing in your grill, maybe is a little bit undersized, at least from the context of Dumars defending 6'6", shooting guards like Michael Jordan. But Vonn Bell, being a safety, was someone who defended tight ends in man, rolled up into the box and played some inside linebacker alignment in their 6'2 look versus heavy personnel groupings, like particularly when the Ravens threw 22 personnel at him. I don't have any clips of that to show. This is a sticks blitz zero look where he's walked up on the line of scrimmage, and I believe him and 59, I think Gaither, are basically bear reading, or banjo, whatever you want to call it, reading this tight end. So if the tight end, releases out on a pass, then 59, I think, would take him, and then Vonn Bell would rush. A little bit of a mix-up here with, I think that's Bates. Somebody tries to tell him to go to the other side. He's on the wrong side. Doesn't end up hurting him because the running back doesn't release to that side, meaning the side that Jesse Bates vacated, but you can see that Vonn Bell gets in there first, hits Brissett, and then I think he gets credit for the fumble, and then even though it looks like to me it should have been called an interception. What I mean by the running back didn't release to that side, meaning here's Bates, 59's clearly telling him to go over to this side. If the running back were to release here with 3 potential blockers, the Bengals don't really have enough guys to match that numbers 4-on-4. They would need an edge defender or an inside linebacker like Luke Wilson to go with it. But we're talking about Vonn Bell here. And we're just going to show you the different ways he's lined up. We've shown you 2 plays. One of them lined up as an outside player, blitzing. One of them lined up over the tight end, blitzing. Now let's get into some pass coverage stuff. He's not a prototypical free safety, no. But he was perfect for the Bengals defense the last 3 years. Like I said, he just turned 28. Calling him an OG is a little bit of an exaggeration. I want to pull this play back to the beginning of the All-22 and then let you see the end zone angle as well, so you can see how aware he is. I don't pretend to know the name of the player that's lined up here at running back. I believe it's number 12, and I think positionally, I think he's a wide receiver, but I could be wrong there. Maybe he's a hybrid player. But in any case, look at what they've done. Besides the fact that I think you may have an illegal formation with this ex-receiver, Cooper, being off the line of scrimmage, Vonn Bell is pointing here, and he's saying something. I don't know what he's pointing. All I know is that is the targeted receiver on this trick play. Inside handoff to Chubb, pitches it back to Cooper, who, like I said, was lined up off the line. And look, this is the tailback running up the line, up the sideline, and Vonn Bell's going to be the guy who gets the interception. Now, depth-wise, he's not matched the depth of that guy, no. But I think, could tell that the quarterback, or in this case Amari Cooper, the receiver turned quarterback, wasn't going to be able to get it off. Gets credit for an interception. Just a super smart player. Look, from the end zone angle, you can see he's pointing right now at number 12, who, again, I don't pretend to know his name or what positional designation he has, but he certainly doesn't look like an NFL tailback to me. Let's let the play run. You can see Bell's in perfect position to defend it. He's a safety by positional designation, but they used him as a nickel a lot in 2020 when he came over from the Saints. When the Bengals brought in Mike Hilton from the Steelers in 2021, I think that kind of moved Vonn Bell away from that nickel role. I'm not saying he was only a nickel in 2020, but look, he had 114 tackles as a safety in 2020. Dropped down by, I think, almost 20 tackles in 2021, and then dropped down by exactly 20 tackles in 2022. Clearly, he was used more as a coverage safety. I know that there are people who say he's not a good coverage safety. I reject that. I think he does what he's asked to do, and he's used in a multitude of ways. But let's read out some of the stats for his 3 years spent in Cincinnati. 3 years, 288 tackles, so a little less than 100 per year. I think that's an average of 96 per year. 5 interceptions, including 4 in 2022. Kind of supports me saying during his time in Cincinnati, he transitioned from a nickel defender, utilized more as a nickel defender, to someone who was a too-high safety, structure pre-snap, and then moving into all the coverages that the Bengals used. 5 interceptions, like I said, 3 years. 21 passes defended in his 48 regular season games. 4 fumbles recovered. 12 TFLs. And like I said, he was at the line of scrimmage more, close to the line of scrimmage more in 2020. And then here's the key for Vonn Bell, if you ask me. You're getting a guy who plays 100% of the defensive snaps. 100%. He plays on every play. At least for the Bengals he did. Look, in the playoffs in 2021 and 2002, I think he missed 2 plays, maybe 3. This is a drop cover 2. What does it look like pre-snap? Even when you get this inside linebacker, walking up to rush, it certainly doesn't look like you're going to get a cover 2 out of this, right? It looks like you're going to get some heavy pressure. They drop down Bates to be the pipe defender, meaning the guy in between the hashes. And then those 2 are going to be your 2 deep half defenders, flat defender. Hendrickson dropping out, and Wilson dropping out. Wilson ended up getting in the window. I know we had a lot of lines drawn there. Wilson ends up getting in the window there of this tight end, and I think that's what causes this. Quarterback thinks he's going to sit down. He keeps going, throws it behind him. Basically, this is an example of Vonn Bell being in the right place at the right time. Obviously, the quarterback's throw, the tight end's misread, and then the inside linebacker's play has a role in it. But this is what the Bengals do. They play good team defense. Look, here's the 5 or 4 under. There's the basically Mike linebacker, but it's Jesse Bates. He's the free safety. If there was a vertical, he'd be expected to run with him in the middle third. And then here's your 2 deep safeties. From pre-snap alignment, didn't look like that's what you would get. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make about talking about Vonn Bell. He's versatile, along with Jesse Bates, along with Mike Hilton, who I don't think was on this play, along with their outside linebackers, Hendrickson, Hubbard, Joseph Asai, a really young guy. They're versatile dudes, and Vonn Bell is a big piece of that. The Bengals are clearly going to miss him. Look, another play here that's a too-high structure. I think this is a 3rd and long. This is one of Lou's favorite coverages to use, and Vonn Bell can play anywhere in this coverage. This is what I would call cover 3 special. So we're going to pull this back. They've used this against the Ravens often, particularly with Mark Andrews starting in 2021. So when I say special, what it normally means is Flowers 33 is going to play man on Andrews, and then they're just going to play cover 3 with 4 under and then 3 deep defenders. All right, cover 3 is 4 under, 3 deep with a 4-man rush. Well, this is different. They're going to switch it up on Lamar and the Ravens. And they're going to play man with Dax Hill on Mark Andrews. And then here is your 4 underneath droppers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, they're not in a nice, cute, pretty little line, but you can see you've got deep third defender here. Vonn Bell is the middle of the field free safety. and then deep third corner defender there with a special call on Mark Andrews. 3-man rush on Lamar. If Lamar was able to take off and wiggle out of the pocket, they feel like they've got enough second, third level defenders that they'd be able to hem him in from all sides, right? They may be wrong there. They may be right. Who knows? But the point is, it's a 3-man rush, max drop 8 coverage, and they utilize Vonn Bell as the middle of the field free safety. We'll let this run from here, and you're going to see another example of this, I think, 3 plays from now. They put Vonn Bell in a totally different place. My point is, Vonn Bell allows you to be more versatile because he himself is versatile. He can line up anywhere and damn near play any position. This is an interception against the Ravens, kind of like a sail flood concept, or just flood concept, really, but they're playing it, defending it from a too high structure. The Bengals don't like to, or didn't like to in these 3 years under Lou, didn't like to move, meaning they didn't like to budge on motion with their secondary. And you can see they did not here. You get this flood, very similar to a play that I'll show you a little bit later. Getting Robinson on the deeper flood, Andrews on the over, Duvernay out into the flats. Very similar to a play that I'll show you from the reverse angle. Lamar's got pressure, kind of overthrows this. I don't think his body is really in line to throw this football. You'll get the end zone angle. You can see there's pressure off the edge on the slide protection. Ricard, is kind of trying to ride him out of there. Lamar never gets his body really in great position to follow through on the throw. The pressure seemed to make things, difficult on him to do so. Overthrow, clearly. Vonn Bell takes advantage of it. End zone angle coming up here. When we say slide protection, we mean offensive line all sliding this way. Ricard coming back in the opposite direction to kick out and handle the unblocked D end. You can say whether you like that protection or not. It's utilized at every level from high school on up to the NFL. Vonn Bell back there as a half-field safety, or lined up pre-snap as a half-field safety. You can see the slide pro. Hubbard causes some pressure. You got the little delayed action with J.K. Dobbins. Probably could be out of the way a little sooner. Lamar's got to step up. Overthrows this ball just enough. Vonn Bell not giving up the big play, putting himself in a position to handle the overthrow, which he does. Had 4 interceptions in 2022. I'm a big fan. I think the Panthers got a fantastic football player. I really do. Someone who can play multiple coverages. Here he is on a 1st and 10. I originally thought this was a 3rd down. From the other side of the field, you're going to get, I think it's Godwin being manned up by Dax Hill again. This was Dax Hill's game where he got a lot of reps because I don't think Mike Hilton played. He did have some nice plays here, but he's been beat on shorter routes multiple times. We're talking about Vonn Bell, though. Vonn Bell is coming up to help as the safety on the other side of the field, basically letting a vertical go past him. Why? Because he knows Jesse Bates is going to be there to help out. Tremendously smart player during the play, aware enough that he knows I don't know if you guys can see that because I know that the Bucs logo is kind of big and gaudy, but you can hopefully see that Bates is there. He understands that a vertical is going to be Bates' responsibility. He's taking the first in cut from the other side and helping out on a 1st and 10, ends up only being a 5-yard gain, creates a manageable 2nd down. Every play that's made to influence a defense in a positive manner isn't an interception, isn't a sack, isn't a fumble return. Sometimes it's understated things like that. Here's an example of him making quick reads, even though he, quote, gets credit for a missed tackle. This is man-to-man on the tight end. I'll rewind this a couple of times so you can see it. He's going to miss a tackle on a completed pass against Dax Hill. Like I said before, Dax Hill got beat multiple times in man in this game. Or I shouldn't say multiple times. He got beat enough times for me to notice it, even though I'm a Dax Hill fan. He's manned up on this tight end, him being Vonn Bell. Watch what he does. He gets a pass block. Tight end stays in and then leaks out late. Vonn Bell releases off of him. He basically lets him go. And if you're unsure if this is man for Vonn Bell, because I'm claiming that it is, watch the coverage you get here, watch the coverage you get here, watch the coverage you get there. The rules, I think, for Bell into the boundary was such that if that tight end delay released inside, he was to let him go inside. I think he's super smart. I think you can use him with multiple coverages. He will adjust post-snap the way he should. So earlier I showed you a version of drop 8 cover 3 with special against Mark Andrews against the Ravens. This is a different version of the drop 8 cover 3. Look, Lou does this a lot. People say that 3-man rush doesn't work in the NFL. Well, it worked for the Bengals under Lou. That's all I know. But we're talking about Vonn Bell, right? Here's your Here's your cover 3 designation, 3 deep. The last time Vonn Bell was the middle of the field free safety. That's not him. That's Jesse Bates this time. Here's your underneath droppers across. Well, you've got 5 of them now. This guy's intentionally, this is what they do. They put one guy underneath to give the quarterback someone to have to throw the ball over the top of if he's going to throw it in the middle of the field. And then here's your 4 under, 3 deep, your typical cover 3, only a 3-man rush. They get an interception out of it. It's not by Vonn Bell, but the point is they've got 5 underneath droppers sitting pretty much near the sticks or at the sticks. This is a 3rd. You can see the marker there, hopefully. It's a 3rd and 7? 3rd and 8, something like that. 3rd and 7. They put 5 guys pretty much at the sticks or underneath of them, and they get an interception out of it. Vonn Bell, we're talking about him, is versatile. He's playing underneath now. Here's another example of him playing a different technique. Week 1, Hilton's on the field here. I think Hilton is covering a receiver, Claypool. Where do they put Vonn Bell? Against the tight end, Freiermuth. A big, nasty football player, great target, great hands, strong. Vonn Bell deals with him, at least on this snap. You know, obviously Pittsburgh won that game in Week 1. Point in showing you this is to try to sell you, explain, hopefully, that Vonn Bell is way more versatile than people give him credit for. Way more adept in coverage than people give him credit for. There's another example of that same concept that I talked about earlier. It's kind of like a sail flood. Andrews from the other side is going to run the over. Duve is going to go underneath like a hide concept. And then this route is one that they really had a couple of times if they could get Lamar credit time to get the throw off. In this case, he takes the flat route to Duvernay. Vonn Bell and Jesse Bates are essentially playing man here. You can see Bates is running with Andrews, and Vonn Bell, yes, is not in great relationship with that route, if you ask me. One of the few times that I felt like the Ravens had a good passing concept to attack the Bengals, I should say there was twice. The first one I showed you was the overthrow, the interception. And the second one here, you did end up getting 10 yards to Duvernay out into the flat. So it's an example of a positive play. Back to the first play I showed you. Look, you guys can, be convinced or not. It's up to you about Vonn Bell being a really underrated player. Only, some would say he only signed a contract for 3 years, $22.5 million versus Jesse Bates. I mean, I don't know, man. If $7 million a year sounds pretty damn good to me for a 28-year-old safety. Every year, the NFL draft teams put out multiple safeties who can come out and contribute immediately because of the advancements in coverage, how versatile people are with split field coverages. The Cincinnati Bengals the last 2 years specifically, 21 and 22, with Jesse Bates, who I'll hopefully do a video on maybe sometime this weekend, and Vonn Bell, they were able to mix and match coverages and be multiple and make things look like one thing pre-snap, end up being something else post-snap. And that guy in the middle of your screen right there was a big part of it. Bengals are going to have a hard time replacing him. Dax Hill's super talented, one of my favorite players from the 2022 draft. But Vonn Bell's cumulative experience and intelligence, I think, is going to be tough to replace immediately. Dax Hill probably grow into that role. I think the Panthers got a huge piece to a defense that, look, is already got some great players. Brian Burns is in the final year. I think his 5th year. And then he'll be a UFA next year. Horn, the corner, is universally recognized as one of the best in the league. One of my favorite underrated players, Frankie Lavu, just very underrated, tough, physical as hell, plays well against the run, better against the pass than people give him credit for. I think Vonn Bell is just going to make that team better and more physical and smarter and more prepared pre-snap and able to adjust and cover people at a high level. You guys let me know, first of all, if you agree with some of the assessments I made or evaluations I made of Vonn Bell in this video, number one. And number two, let me know if you appreciated the video, if you'd like for me to talk about other players who maybe moved on from one team to another or maybe re-signed with their own team. I'm hoping to get a video out on Justice Hill, Ravens running back, underrated guy who signed a really low-level contract that a lot of people are complaining about, which I find interesting. And if you think, if you enjoy this content and you think other people would enjoy it, please consider sharing a link on social media to help the video get more reach. Appreciate you guys' time.